I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. You know, as the Christmas season progresses and our country regresses into 1930s Germany, Satan's masked elves are still yanking people off the street with no charges and are bombing boats thousands of miles from our shores.
Only a few miles, I can swim it.
And refusing to let us see Trump's wakeboard boat snuff videos.
I'll be back with the little boat. The little boat?
You know, we can't see those videos because it's obviously all on the up and up.
You said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what
I
happened?
don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
Do you realize what it took to make us forget the Epstein files? They had to blow up tiny boats and murder 87 people in the ocean just to make us turn away from the evidence that more than likely proves Kim Jong-orange raped kids. Because on the Trump horror scale, murder is worse than sexually assaulting ninth graders. And how do we know he did it? Well, because he won't release the files. How do we know he was a dumber student than Christopher Titus? Well, he won't show his school records. How do we know he cheated on his taxes? Because he won't show us his taxes. Well, I mean that and him being convicted of 34 felonies regarding his taxes. How do we know he's a criminal? Well, maybe being banned from owning a charity because he stole from kids with cancer, or ripping people off with a bullshit university, taking a $400 million bribe from Qatar in the form of a plane, and billions for his cryptocurrency. Or maybe he's a criminal because he pardoned 1,600 people who were convicted by juries. And he pardoned people for money, folks. How do we know he's failing? Because he won't give us GDP numbers, unemployment numbers, housing numbers, or inflation numbers, and on and on and on and on and on. But this holiday season, people, let's take a look at this Satan slave full of losers, criminals, ghouls, and morons. First, let's look at who has their heads the furthest up Beelzebub Blowhard's colon. Stephen Miller. This arsenic suppository, poisoning and destroying all that our founding fathers say we stand for. Miller is the human version of slamming your hand in a car door, spouting white supremacist ideology, which is ironic because look at the dude. I mean, the man is the least of all white people, this pasty pussy, poorly performing pathetically. In fact, take him back, white people. We kept the receipt. Then you got this canned ham in a suit, Tom Holman. This dude's face is comprised of processed meat and racism. You know, this homeboy right here took $50,000, a bribe, in a bag of cash and said it was government business. Yeah, because we all do government business with a Trader Joe's bag full of Benjamins. Cool. Then we have Kristi Noem, plastic surgery addict and dog assassin who keeps cosplaying to the maximum and competence to a minimum. Fourth Reich Barbie is overseeing building concentration camps in America, where we keep the worst of the worst criminals, you know, preschool teachers, taco truck workers, busboys, and the people that make sure we have food. Yeah, some of them may have to spend Christmas Eve in a cage, wrapped in a foil blanket, after having their constitutional rights raped like an 8th grader on Epstein's island. Release the files! And then, we have this alcoholic tattooed Nazi in a bad suit full of hair gel and Heil Hitler. A fucking news guy is a Secretary of Defense, but because he's such a bro badass, he calls himself the Secretary of War.
Hegseth. Yeah. Secretary of War.
Because a dude whose last job was on Fox News, this man's man also put a makeup room in the Pentagon. Yep, that guy's a hammer-swinging, no-holds-barred warfighter. Yeah, listen to the roars from the soldiers during Hegseth's speech.
Move out and draw fire. Godspeed.
Secretary of War.
Yeah, this group of Satan's elves also includes an ex-heroin addict with a brain worm who thinks vaccines cause autism even though 55 studies over 40 years prove it doesn't. RFK looks like an extra piece of extra crispy KFC, and he's in charge of the nation's health, and his only qualification is he can do pull-ups, which is at least better than this douche.
Secretary of War.
Prices are up 24%, while Trump lies that they aren't. When Biden left, inflation was 2.4%, now it's 3%. Start wrapping your mind around, people, what you're willing to do to save this country. We're going to have to start screaming sanity louder, because the insane are currently running shit. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Nothing like having an aneurysm before Christmas. If you go down the list of morons, dipshits, and idiots, it's crazy. There's not one competent person. At least in the past, we can go, I don't believe with General Kelly, I don't agree with him, but Jesus, he's like incompetent. Or Billy,